Hey everyone, I'm Anita Sharma. Welcome to Market Call tonight on BNN Bloomberg. My special guest, Jaime Carrasco. He's a portfolio manager at Canaccord Genuity, taking your calls, emails, and tweets on precious metals and North American dividend stocks. Our number toll-free, 1-855-326-6266. Our email address, marketcall@bnnbloomberg.ca. Our Twitter handle, @MarketCall. Jaime, you're on Twitter as well. What's your Twitter handle?
J. Carrasco.
J. Carrasco. J. Carrasco. All right. How you doing?
Might be a one, actually, but I'm
we'll
doing
look
well.
at it during the show. We'll look at it during the show.
Doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, things are good. Well set up for this year.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic, only because I see more uncertainty building as we go through, especially with the election. Right, we have a lot of noise in the system, and I think that's going to continue to add uncertainty. And it's uncertainty the reason why. You know, it's funny. I was called a gold bull.
I called you a gold bull last night.
A gold bug.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was at a party.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because I don't see myself as a gold bug. I'm a fixed income bear. I'm looking at what's happening within the fixed income sector. And I've always said that the repo market sending signals, what's going on in the fixed income market. And I do think that we got to look at the bigger picture for a second, right? Because it's important. To me, the two big news this week wasn't the impeachment. To me, that's the forum for the Romans, for the masses.
Generally speaking, though, it seems like Wall Street and Bay Street is taking a pass, right?
Yes, I agree.
On impeachment.
The real story was Trump's speech at Davos, which I actually spent the time to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very interesting because I also spent the time to get a hold of Marc Carney's speech at Jackson Hole in the fall last year, in 2019.
Right.
And what I thought was amazing about what Carney was saying was that the currency reserve has to be replaced. So go back to 2016. What would have happened if Hillary had won? There was a plan to actually undo the currency reserve. That's what James Rickards kept talking about. But it was to be controlled by the IMF, which was what Carney was saying. Who's going to control that process? Right. What Trump was saying at Davos is that, no, you're not. We're going to forget about the global system we've been setting up, and we're going to do it through a nationalist way, which is very important because, again, if you look at the trade deal between China and the U.S., in North America, we call it a trade deal, but in China, they refer to it as a currency deal. So I do think that what's shaping up here, China doesn't care who ends up, how it's set up, because they know that they're going to control the currency reserve. They have the gold reserves, right? So to me, going forward, is what is the shape of that structure? Is it going to be as an SDR, or is it going to be more a basket that is completely outside of the control of the IMF? Now, I think that is the play that is happening, and that's why Judy Shelton is so important. The second news was the fact that Trump has finally nominated her and another chap to the Fed this week, right? And there's been a lot of talk about Judy Shelton because she is a hard money advocate. True. So all this is shaping up that I think this year we're getting to the end of something. Something's got to give. I do think that I've done my analysis on the impeachment, and that's all noise. He's going to come out stronger. You're seeing that in the levels of money raising that Trump is getting. You're seeing that in the amount of people that are going to see him. So he's in control of the U.S.
He's also talking about more tax cuts likely coming down the pipe for Americans. We know Americans like their low taxes. So the promise of that is certainly...
and another important thing is the trade deals he's doing. North America now, he's reorganized NAFTA into, what do they call it, CAMMEC? It's U.S., it's the acronym of the three countries. USMC. He's got a deal with Japan, he's got a deal with Korea, he's doing a deal with Britain. So he's really setting up a completely different system. So I see the parallels to him and Teddy Roosevelt very similar in that we're seeing this trades are happening, but also he's starting some level of isolationism of the U.S. itself. That's why he's walking away from all these wars. He hasn't taken the bait with Iran. I think he's communicating with them, and they're gonna do some kind of a deal. Right. So I think he is the king of the deal, and he is doing a lot of them. But that's going to reshape the global economy, and I think at the core of that, gold is part of it. Okay, speaking of gold, let's put up the spot price. We had a couple of technical analysts on last few nights, and Elliot Fishman in particular from Scotia Wealth, looking at it just from a pure technical perspective, said it's going to be tough for gold, based on his analysis, for it to break through $1,600. He sees that next resistance point as a very tough one to break above. Now, coronavirus has certainly
really rattled the market last couple of days. Today, we saw a significant hit on the markets. They only rebounded on news that the World Health Organization said, look, it's relatively contained, nothing really to worry about here for now. So we saw markets bounce back ever so slightly. But my question is, why isn't gold moving significantly higher on fears of this coronavirus?
Okay, first of all, I would argue that gold is holding extremely strong because this is Golden Week in China and Asia. They're on holidays. They are not buying anything. They're not participating in the future market. Every week for the past couple of years, this week, gold gets killed. It hasn't happened. So there's a lot of underlying strength. On top of that, we have an overwhelming amount of short positions in the futures contracts. If I was actually looking at a couple of charts that were coming out from the COT report, looking at how many short positions have been added, and we have an overwhelming amount of shorts. So I think that from a technical perspective, you know, we're back to that game at 1,300. All the technicians were saying, oh, it's going back down to 1,000. As soon as it broke 1,350, look at the run-up we had. I think gold is set up to break through 1560 because of global demand. Central banks continue acquiring. The Russians are over, what, 3,000 tons, I believe? No, sorry, 2,500. They are about to surpass Germany.
Russia definitely a big player. China definitely a big player.
Turkey, India, a lot of Kazakhstan. So central banks are buying, right? So the fact that the price is here, really, to me, that's the opportunity, the fact that the price is to go higher. The bigger opportunity, though, is the fact that the producers haven't yet moved to reflect gold anywhere near $1,300. They're still trading relatively low. If you look at the HUI, go back to when it was trading, when gold was last at 1,500 in 2012, 2013, the HUI itself was around 400, close to 500. It hit a high of 600. We're sitting here at 231. So there's plenty of room in the producers, and I still think that there's a lot of entry points into portfolios. And one of the things that I sent, and I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn, is the methodology of how I've been choosing companies and how I'm developing a portfolio, both within the equity income portfolio and the special opportunities portfolio.
Okay, a lot going on there, and I know we're going to get stock specific after this break. A lot of news on Detour Gold and Kirkland Lake. That is a past pick for you, so we'll have to hold off to get Jaime's analysis until that point. But we'll come back to your calls with Jaime Carrasco, portfolio manager at Canaccord Genuity. We're on precious metals and North American dividend stocks. Our number toll free, 1-855-326-6266. Welcome back to Market Call tonight on BNN Bloomberg. Our special guest is Jaime Carrasco. Let's start with an email, Jaime, from Mai in Calgary, Alberta, Canada Goose. The viewer would like to know, is this a good entry point for the stock right now?
We think that it's run its course. We downgraded it. We definitely think that it had gotten ahead of itself, and the chart definitely shows it. You know, when it comes to consumer retailers, I'm not a big fan of them because they are trendy. Usually you want to get into them early on, kind of like Lululemon. It's a good example of that. So no, I would be shying away from this one and waiting or looking at other sectors. Okay,
thank you so much for that, Jaime. Now let's get to the phones and let's talk about gold. Let's bring in Mark from Gatineau, Quebec. Hey, Mark.
Yes, good evening. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Yes, Jaime, I'd like to have your thoughts on Premier Gold. Fantastic assets, great management, grossly undervalued. Not much more I could add, I guess. And Anita, would you have the street on that? And en passant, Anita, your French is pretty good. So continue avec ton français, c'est très bien. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. On peut parler français si vous voulez, mais la majorité du monde ne peut pas.
Oh mon Dieu, je peux parler un peu de français aussi. Merci.
Aux amis au Québec.
Thanks, Marc. Merci.
Premier Gold, I don't own it, but it's one that we followed. I've taken a look at it. There seems to be a JV that they're looking to do. We have it with a $5 target. We like this company. We are maintaining our buy, and it's a hard rock project that we happen to like. Give me 1 second. Premier Gold Intense. There's some litigation issues with this one. I'm just looking at our analyst report. Usually whenever the lawyers get involved, I tend to shy away from things and wait, even though the asset is definitely a good asset. So it's probably one that I would be looking on the sidelines, waiting and see how, when things get bogged down in legal issues.
Doesn't matter what it is.
It doesn't matter. I usually tend to wait and
you run for the hills.
Come back later.
Don't count on Jaime. You'll see his backside.
Lawyers always win.
Yeah, they do on both sides, right? Very, very good point. All right, let's bring in Jerome from White Rock, BC. Hi, Jerome.
Hi, Anita. Hi, Jamie.
Hey.
My question today is about palladium. I'm investing in the commodities through the PAL ETF that trade on the NYC. And I was just wondering, what's your thought, like for the guest, for Jamie, about palladium in general, and is there any way to be invested in that commodity within the Canadian index without a stock? Yeah, more like ETFs or something like that.
That's a good question. Thanks, Jerome.
Well, the one that I would look at is, again, one of the ETFs for hard metal is the BGM Group, who has silver, gold, and palladium within the portfolio. I've always liked it as, now again, when I look at the commodity itself, to me, that's like holding cash, right? So it's part of my cash component. Palladium has had an amazing move over the last while. I used to own North American Palladium. I've been taken out of that. I am looking to replace into another palladium asset, but they're hard to come by. So I am doing my homework. I don't know if I would be chasing palladium right here. I think if anything, what palladium is signaling is a bit of a loss of control of the paper market because the producers are palladium, South Africa, Russia. Canada is a small producer, but the bulk is South Africa and Russia, and they're not really selling us their palladium. And I think at some point we're going to get similar mechanics within gold and silver. At some point we're going to lose control of the paper market, and the commodities will start to really reflect much higher inflationary prices. Palladium is interesting because it's one that's rhodium, another one that they're both just escalating at an amazing pace, but I'm keeping my eye on copper. Copper near $3, I think at some point we'll get a good break, and at that point I think the commodity and the inflationary trade will be on.
Copper, is that usually seen as a China play? And by extension, now I'm curious once again about the coronavirus and just that. I'm bringing everything back to corona because I am a journalist at the end of the day.
I keep thinking beer.
But what do you think, right? Copper links you to China. You're thinking more demand. But then you got this coronavirus, which just keeps popping up. Right?
I think the virus issue should be monitored, and we should be conscious that it's there and take precautions. However, I don't think, go back to the SARS breakout. We can't control these things, and usually we bring them back to some kind of, containment, we shut it down. So from that perspective, I think that's short-term noise for the markets. If anything, what I'm looking at more is exactly what Trump is doing, because look, he's bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. He had a shout out, if you will, for Elon Musk, right? He said, look, we helped him out. It's time for him to help us out. He wants a plant in the States. And the reality is that, so look at the big plan for Trump. He can't do that without really killing the dollar, because from a comparative basis, the cost of labor is key. With the dollar at the rate it is, really big manufacturing won't come back to the U.S. If we get a correction, though, if we get some kind of a monetary adjustment, there at that point, everything's off in terms of economic activity, because the U.S. will be manufacturing. China is off in terms of the currency adjustment. And that's why I think copper is the key to watching that. And I don't watch it as China trade. I watch it as a global barometer of economic activity. And that's definitely tracking up and picking up a bit. So to me, that's very bullish.
Okay. I don't know how many people are able to separate that, right? Copper from China. But that is an interesting point. We'll leave it there, Jaime. We'll take a break. We'll get back to tons and tons of our callers that are waiting for you. 1-855-326-6266. Welcome back to Market Call tonight. We're with Jaime Carrasco. We're going to start with gold, though. We'll get to Richard in Bella Coola, BC. Hi, Richard.
Yes, hi. There's a gold stock that's making new highs this week, and I wondered what he thinks of it. And does he still think it's a good buy? I hope he likes it as much as I do. And
we know he likes gold.
It's Lundin Gold.
Okay, Lundin. Let's see what he thinks.
I've owned it for quite a while, actually. I thought we were going to chat about Lundin Mining, but I know this company because I own it, so I'll switch. I'm not supposed to talk about companies that we don't follow on our research.
Okay.
But I can talk about this because I own it.
Sure.
Lundin Gold took over. Remember back in 2011, that whole talk about the Aurelian? They had a big discovery in Ecuador?
Yeah.
That's their project.
Okay.
Right. If anybody can put it together, is the Lundin family. They've done so much work in Latin America. They're very well connected, and they can definitely put this together. And that's going to be a massively high-grade mine. That was an awesome discovery. Kirkland Lake, I actually owned Aurelian. Kirkland Lake bought us out. Then Kirkland Lake just decimated the project. That's everything went out, and then they gave it to Lundin at a steal. And they're actually getting together and putting it together. If anybody can put it, bring it to fruition, it's Lundin, and that's why I have it in the portfolio. I think this is going to be a long-term, a really good hold for people.
Yeah, we're getting some news now. The Lundin CEO saying basically he's looking for an acquisition, and he's also open to a possible takeover. So their only asset, Fruta del Norte, in Ecuador?
In Ecuador.
Yeah, they say that that's going to reach commercial production in the second quarter. So there you have it, a bit of news coming out from Lundin Gold. So basically, Richard, hang tight. Is that it?
Pretty much.
Can you build on it?
And Wade, the one thing about this one that I think will be very important will be reserves on the ground.
Okay.
There's a lot of gold there, and reserves on the ground are just starting to go up in value. They were trading at zero. Last year, we bought a lot of assets that were dormant, like for $1 an ounce on the ground. In 2011, we got taken out for some companies around $100 an ounce on the ground. So there's a big discrepancy right now in gold that's already been found. And I like reserves on the ground, as always, with all the producers I have, because there's no better vault than the gold that's there.
Okay. Speaking of Lundin Mining, why just tease our viewers? Why not give them the real deal? Why don't you give us some analysis on Lundin Mining as well, just because a lot of our viewers do carry it in their portfolio?
Great company.
Yeah.
We hold on a second. I had just closed it down, so give me a second, and I'll bring up the
Meantime,
target. Yeah, I think Lundin Mining, the family is one of the premier miners globally now. We have Lundin Mining with a 950 target, and as about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, full-year production results were great. We have no issue with this company. We think it's, and hold on, give me 1 second. I'm just checking on one last thing.
Yeah, sure.
Here we go.
A 10-year on that, 57%.
Yeah, and no, we think nothing negative to say about this company. Again, Lundin, the family, they're some of the best on executing on resource projects.
You get a bit of a dividend here, too.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's another thing, actually. A lot of the,
2%.
I don't know if you noticed, but Newmont raised its dividend by 70% this quarter.
Yeah.
All of them, the cash flow's kicking in, right? So because of that, dividends are building, and I think that's going to be a really good thing for a lot of the producers going forward.
I know a lot of our viewers like those dividends. Let's get back to the phones. Let's bring in Gary from Toronto. Hey, Gary.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hey, Gary.
Very
doing well, sir.
Thanks for taking my call. Long-time viewer, first-time caller.
Hey, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Hi, May. I have a large position in cannabis extraction companies, Valens and Metaform Labs, and I'm just wondering your thoughts on the sector and where you think these two companies can go. I'll hang up. Thanks a lot, guys.
What was the other company, Gary?
Valens, VLNS, and Labs.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gary.
We really like Metafarm. It's actually, it's funny because I was late to the party on the cannabis, and I did play the extractors though. And actually now I'm look at Charlotte's Web, for example, and this one. They've all corrected nicely.
Wow.
The extractors are holding. They're holding much better than the producers.
Yeah.
And if you were to start building positions within cannabis, this is definitely one that I would be looking at. This
446%.
Yes.
My goodness.
It's a new industry, though.
Yeah,
that's the important thing. That
early innings still.
Correct. And the other thing about the extractors, those are the refiners, right? What's interesting is that the medical industry is going to need the CBD, and the food business needs the THC.
Yeah.
Well, you need to extract it, and that's why I like these guys. Here's where the margin is. So the extracting business, I think, has much more upside than the growers, especially after being in Colombia last year, looking at what's going on there. Cost of production is zero.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
they'll lead the production. but the extraction within the different markets, I think that's an important place within the sector.
Sounds fascinating. Also fascinating, the whole Detour and Kirkland situation. Something you wanted to say?
Just the target on Medifarm.
Yeah.
Did not touch upon that. We have, just let me confirm the date on this. So this was as of,
Where Jaime basically hijacks the show.
November, December, we had it with a 725 target, and we haven't changed anything.
Okay, there you go. Let's take a break and get to your past picks, which look very, very good. And we'll talk more about what Detour is saying about Kirkland. Stay tuned. You're watching Market Call tonight. Welcome back. We're with Jaime Carrasco. Time to look at your past picks. Sir, North American Palladium acquired by Impala on December 17th, 2019. If our viewers purchased this when you recommended it less than a year ago, they'd be up a nice 17%. Clearly a juicy dividend kicking in there as well. Yeah,
I was a little disappointed with this because I owned it.
Yeah.
It's in the portfolio. It was there at a much lower price. As soon as Brookfield took over the project, I thought they had cleaned up the balance sheet and everything. They went through a full restructuring, and that's when I get in because I like Palladium. It's just sad to see it go, but I'm happy to get the cash, and it's a good indication of the mergers that are taking place, right? There's a lot of companies to be had. They're still cheap, and look at the announcement by Landine that they're also shopping. Everybody's looking to acquire right now.
Detour was, rather the other way around. Kirkland was shopping, landed on Detour, and today we're getting news from the Detour Gold CEO that their shareholders are comfortable with the Kirkland deal. Looks like that's probably going to go ahead. You own this. You say that you will also vote in favor of this deal. Kirkland Lake, had our viewers purchase this, they'd be up a nice sweet 26%.
Actually, I own this at $7 in the portfolio because it's one of the ones that I was buying back in 2015.
Yeah.
Both companies, Detour, I get in again at around 12 when Paulson came in, when they had that big correction. I think the merger of both of these companies are creating an even better entity for the simple reason that Detour is a longer mine life with lower grades. Kirkland Lake is a shorter mine life but with very high grades. What you have, the combination of the two is going to stream the production much longer. So it means that they're going to have better leverage on their balance sheet, which means that they're going to be acquiring even better, right? So I think what I'm doing with this, I own both as 5% of the portfolio. I'm going to hold it as a 8 to 10% because I think the joint entity is going to be a great levered machine, which is what I want of the producers, right? Plus a lot of reserves on the ground. And the nice thing about both of these companies, they can still add reserves on the ground through some drilling, which Kirkland Lake did at the end of last year. They added quite a bit of high grade, the new zone that they've discovered. Okay.
And the deal looks like it's going to be voted on Tuesday. It needs the approval of at least 2/3 of votes cast by Detour shareholders in person or represented by proxy. And we know that you're giving it a thumbs up.
I'm a go.
You're a go. All right, Jaime. Valens, GrowWorks, VLNS on the TSX Venture Exchange. This one also a very nice return of 24%.
Yeah, this one's one that I still hold, and every time it gets over 4, I tend to take a bit of money here and there.
Okay.
Right now I'm holding. I like the position I have, and again, it's one of the extractors, like Medifarm, like Charlotte's Web, and it's the ones that I kind of like, and if I start to add back into the sector, I would definitely be adding in this area. I'm not necessarily starting to add just yet. I'm looking to see what happens and how it all plays out. But I do like the sector. It's a new sector. It's a new industry, and I think it has plenty of room to grow. So it's one that I would like to have a participation within it.
Okay. Yeah. Well done, sir. Let's take a break. I know our viewers are anxious to get back on the phone with you. Our number, folks, 1-855-326-6266.
to Oceana.
That's coming up too. Jaime Carrasco getting ahead of himself on Market Call tonight. Anxious to take our phone calls. Let's get to Raymond in Vancouver. Hey, Raymond.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I'm going to make this really quick. Argonaut Gold, I noticed that last week apparently they didn't meet the 200,000 ounces or something.
Okay.
That was expected, and I think they only met 180,000 ounces. What are your thoughts? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Good
Bye.
question. Thanks, Raymond.
My thoughts on any mine.
Yeah.
Building a mine is not an easy product. It's not like turning on a phone.
Right.
There's a lot of mechanical components, and usually it takes time to get everything streamlined and up and running. So usually those setbacks, to me, are a positive if I own something.
Okay.
Argonaut Gold, I have not bought it, but I keep looking at it. It's a great project. They have really good projects. We like it. We're maintaining our price target at $350. And this is a January 17 report.
Yeah.
I think it's if you own it, it's not a bad place to maybe add a little bit more with this pullback. Again, management has to go through the process of getting everything up and running, but all of these are going to move on higher gold prices, which to me this year we're going to definitely start to shine quite nicely on that.
For now, it looks like gold is just holding steady, if not drifting a bit lower today, notwithstanding. This, as markets and traders are really trying to assess the impact, right?
Anita, I would say this to
of
that,
the coronavirus.
Right? The break at 1,500 back in 2012, 2013 took a long time. So that was a massive base. Now we're breaking on the upside of that. The fact that we're holding 1560 now
is significant.
Is extremely important,
okay.
Right? So I want to see what happens over the next 2 weeks and how it plays out. But seasonality between here and May, it's positive for the gold price. So I think we have way more upside.
All right, let's continue the conversation on gold. Fundamentally speaking, for this next stock, let's bring in Marg from Sarnia. Hi, Marg. Is it Marg or Marge? My apologies.
It's Marg. Yeah.
Okay, good. I had it the first time.
You ask me every time.
I know. I apologize.
That's fine.
At least I ask, right?
You do. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Mr. Carrasco, I wondered if you could give me your comments on Alamos Gold and its results at Island Gold recently. Do you think Alamos is a good-sized company for a takeover?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think a lot of companies are part of a takeover, and I wouldn't be surprised if these mid-tier companies, they're all up for grabs. So
a lot of consolidation still happening?
I think we haven't seen anything yet.
Wow.
There's a lot of reserves. You have to remember that we've gone through about a 6-year period of no exploration being done whatsoever.
Correct.
And these companies, as the price comes up, they're going to have to ramp up production, and they're going to have the money. So I would expect them to get taken out. On a takeout, where I'm playing is more in those dormant companies. QMX in Quebec, you have Paramount in Arizona, the things that were mothballed after 2011 because there wasn't any money, right? Those are definitely where I'm aiming for the takeout. I got lucky with Detour and Kirkland Lake and North American Palladium and Barkerville, but that was good stock picking. But what's interesting is the buyers were companies that I also own. So it's kind of signaling what I'm expecting, that the buyers are going to be the producers because they have the leverage. Alamos, we have it with an $11 target. We like the expansion of their phase 3 of what they call the Island Gold Project. I do not own Alamos, right? Again, my approach is to stay disciplined, pick a good selection of producers that I particularly like within my criteria, which is low cost, good management, high reserves on the ground already, and in geopolitically safe areas, right? I think that if people or investors do their stock picking within those criteria, you're going to pick good choices. There's a lot of room for these companies to continue to move because they're nowhere near reflecting the price of gold at $1,500 yet.
Yeah.
So Alamos, I think it's one that has upside.
All right, at least one more gold stock to go. Let's rope in Ken from Calgary. For anyone who's dying to talk about gold, this is your show to get all your calls and questions answered. Hey, Ken.
Thank you, Jaime, for sharing your insights with such coherence, and thanks to Anita for getting Jaime talking so freely.
Thank you, Ken.
My question's on Oceana Gold. I'm in on this one, and I'm glad there's a small dividend. Actually, it's 1.6% now. But the chart's looking pretty scary, and I'm just wondering whether I should hold this one or throw in the towel.
Yeah, he's right about that. It's going in the opposite direction.
It is actually.
Yeah.
Again, here's one that I would automatically come off of my criteria because their mines are in the Philippines.
Okay.
Right. So again, geopolitical would have thrown it right off. So I do not own it. We did reduce our target actually. And hold on, I'm trying to confirm this because I believe we had a target at 4 and we just lowered it to 355. I'm just trying to figure out that was November 2019. Give me 1 second. Production gap is now evident. Yeah, so there's definitely, here's one where there's issues with their production.
I have Canaccord at $4.60. That's the target price that I have on the Bloomberg terminal as of July 28th last year. As a buy, the recommendation is
right,
a buy.
and this is November 21st, 2019.
Yeah, okay.
On November 21st,
so you have an update.
we have it down to, sorry, it's Australian dollars, $4.
Okay.
So I guess it trades in Australia. We have it we had it with a 355 target.
Okay.
So either we have changed it. However, again, from a geopolitical perspective, it's one that I would not touch.
Okay.
I'd rather be in the Americas. I'd rather be in the U.S. I'd rather be in Mexico.
So what does Ken do then? If he
I would switch
has
to
it?
something else.
Okay.
I think with all of these companies, there's plenty of choices to move to, and I would be doing a lateral move between one and another.
So hopefully he doesn't have a loss, but if he doesn't, either way, just
you know, a lot
ship.
of people that it's funny because I've come across a lot of people that have held on to their gold corp from way back when, and with those people, I'm recommending just take the loss and move over to something else. There's room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room for upside within the sector, and I think making smart moves now, you'll be well rewarded. Detour Kirkland Lake, I think that's going to be an amazing money machine. On top of that, don't forget that Hank Paulson owns 30% of Detour. So that means that American money is also coming in and serious institutional money.
Okay, Jaime, thank you so much for that. We'll come back with Jaime Carrasco, portfolio manager at Canaccord Genuity, taking your calls, emails, and tweets on precious metals and North American dividend stocks. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Rates, then you won't.
Welcome back. We are with Jaime Carrasco, talking about real estate during the break. Let's bring in Rob from Winnipeg. Hey, Rob.
Hi, great show.
Thank you.
I'm a first-time caller, so thanks for taking my call.
Welcome.
I'd like to ask about Cameco, CCO. There has been some recommendations for it as an income stock.
Right.
But I guess today even the price target was cut. So is this a good time to get in at this level? And what does a dividend look like?
First of all, I wouldn't expect a dividend from Cameco, right? Because to me, that's more of a growth story. And when it comes to Cameco, the only thing to be looking at is at uranium prices.
Okay.
We've been waiting, like Rick Rule, a lot of big analysts that like uranium have been talking about uranium forever, and the prices just don't take off. So until the prices don't take off, I would wait on the sidelines.
Okay.
If the prices start to take off, my first go-to would be the uranium participation unit, right? Because that'll have the the biggest exposure to uranium. It's uranium itself. Then you come back to Cameco after that. But again, without uranium prices moving, no point doing anything. And there doesn't, like if you look at, this tracks the uranium price. Can you go even longer on that chart?
What do you want? It's 5-year or 10-year?
As long as you can.
Okay, we'll try to do max.
So there, we would need a break above $6 before I get interested.
Okay.
Right, or at least 5.
Yeah.
Right, so that's something to monitor. There you go.
Yeah.
$6, definitely. Right. So when uranium finally goes, it will go, but it hasn't gone, so might as well wait.
All right. And Rob, don't wait too long to call us again. I love it when we get first-time callers, right?
Me too.
That's just great. That's just great. More viewers and folks calling in, the better. Thank you, Rob, from Winnipeg. Let's get to Ara in Montreal, Quebec. Hey, Ara.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
My question is on Cisco Gold royalties. This stock in the last 5 or 6 or 7 years has moved between $17 down to $11 or $12. And $17 it stayed there for a very short time. I'm in a loss position on this one, maybe 20-25% loss. And then when I compare it to Franco Nevada, I bought them 5 years ago at around $60-65. Today they are around $140. That more than doubled my money. What's the problem with Cisco? I heard some rumors a while ago about tax problems, tax issues, but what's holding this animal where it is now? What's your opinion for the next 6 months or a year? Is it worth hanging to it or just I dump it? Thanks for your opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Zara.
Okay. Well, Cisco Gold Royalties is one that I own. It's one of the royalty companies that I own, but it's not the only one. Franco-Nevada has always been the mainstay of my royalty companies. I had Silver Wheaton, which became Wheaton. They changed name. I can't remember. But that I switched over to Metalla. I own Sandstorm, and I own Cisco Gold Royalties.
Wheaton Precious Metals?
Wheaton Precious Metals, right? But then I switched because we're not going to get any more project upside, so no more. We're only going to get the price upside. So I want Cisco Gold Royalties. You have to understand that this one's one that's just getting structured. The mines that they've been buying have not started paying yet, but eventually they will. So it's a question of patience. Cisco is, that came about because Cisco sold the Malartic mine to Agnico Eagle way back when. So they separated into Cisco and Cisco Royalty. And Cisco Royalty has been, they just bought Barkerville, for example. It's a project that it's already producing, but it needs to get up there. So eventually these guys will start to pay. It's great management, properties are in North America. So I think it's a question of patience, but it's not the only one. Now, do remember that within the portfolio, whenever we're reshifting within it, right, Franco-Nevada has continued to move up. But I like to have it at 5%. If it becomes 7%, what I do is sell, trim it back, and buy into Cisco as it goes down. Okay. So I like the companies, but I have a structure that allows me to continue to add the things that are out of favor. Kind of like Lundin. Lundin forever sat, and then eventually it starts moving. You're not worried about averaging down? You're not worried about catching something on the downward trajectory? What I hear from a lot of your colleagues is that, you know, you don't want to time the bottom, but you kind of want to catch it going this way. No, well, you got to understand catching it going this way. Right, but when it comes to the gold market, I've always said that there's quite a lot of politics involved because what's happening with the futures contracts, they're going to lose control. So to me, it's has been more of a discipline of having an asset allocation within the sector and then stock picking the right areas. I think the royalty companies are companies that I want to have, especially for older clients, because they'll stream out the volatility of the producers, right? So no, I think it's about discipline, and right now I'm sitting at 20% minimum precious metals within the portfolios. And I think within that, how do you manage the companies that you own? I don't want to be trading them. I'm building positions, and I'm buying companies with good management that are going to deliver over time. Okay, let's take a break. I know we've got a couple of calls on hold. We'll come back to them in just a moment. Stay tuned. All right, 2 calls to go, Jaime. Let's bring in Ted from Newcastle, Ontario. Hi, Ted.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I own Humana in around the $8 range.
Okay.
I'd like to know your view if it's going to ever get back up there. I've held it for quite a while. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Humana is one of those companies that it's funny. I keep looking at it. I like the assets, but for some reason they keep missing. They're not fine-tuned. So because of that, it's one that I've shied away from it. We have it with a 625 target. So eventually, I think it will get there. I think eventually they will all move. But I think this is one that, in my opinion, I've left behind because the other ones have been moving so much better. If you compare that to Agnico, for example, or Detour, all of the better producers, I think they've executed much better. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Jaime. Last call of the night, Jazz from Mississauga, Ontario. Hi, Jazz.
Just had a question for Jaime on Orion Resources, AU.VN.
All right.
I know you outlined or you talked about that in the past. Just wanted to get your thoughts. I took a small stake in it last time you were on and recommended it. Do you like the idea of continuing to add to it or hold it, or just maybe get your thoughts on that? Thanks very much.
Thank you.
I'm not adding to my position because I put in a position at, I think, at around 80 cents. I haven't sold it. I'm still holding on to it. Yeah. And I am buying it for new clients that are coming in. This is a different animal because this is an exploration play. Okay, they're in Finland. Finland hasn't really been explored, which I find quite interesting, right? So this has the aspects of the deposits that we used to find back in the 1800s. Easy deposit, high grade at surface.
Wow.
So it has a lot of potential. This is one that, again, this is not a growth story. This is an exploration story. So it's either there or not. So far, the drill results are showing there's a lot of positives, a lot of big money looking at this. So I think it has quite a bit of upside. And yes, if you own it, hold on to it. I have it as 4% of my portfolio, of my gold portfolio. It's not in the equity income portfolio, but it is in my special opportunities. And I do have it in my personal TFSA.
Okay, good to know, Jaime. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for your calls, tweets, and emails. His top picks, Jaime's top picks are straight ahead on Market Call tonight. Welcome back to Market Call tonight. We're with Jaime Carrasco. This is a stock that we've been talking about a lot here on Market Call tonight, off air and on air. Vermilion, such a juicy dividend. Some say a misunderstood company because even though it gets painted with the Alberta brush, unfortunately, it doesn't really do a lot of business there.
Yeah, I've been looking at oil for a while, and you know, for the last 2-3 years, I've been saying I'm staying aside.
For sure.
This is my entry point right here, Vermilion.
Wow.
Reason being is that they're in Europe.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've been paintbrush with the Canadian story. They've come down. The dividend is sustainable. I spoke with an analyst yesterday just to go through the asset again.
It's never been cut, right?
It's never been cut.
Yeah.
And they have the cash flow. We don't think it's going to be cut. The only positive negative is natural gas in Europe, because they do sell to Europe this coming summer. If it's a hot summer, nothing to worry about because air conditioning. But otherwise, we feel very comfortable. Their sales are hedged, and they sell into Brent. So they're not stuck within the Canadian market where we're trading at a discount to WTI, West Texas Intermediary. So these guys being in Europe, they sell Brent, which they're getting the higher price. So I think the balance sheet is sustainable. We have Vermilion with a $35 target, and we're holding on to our buy rating.
Okay. Let's get to Fortuna Silver, your second pick. We didn't talk a lot about, actually at all about silver, but this is a gold mine, right?
Silver.
Silver and gold?
Silver, but they're starting up a gold mine.
Okay, there it is. Yeah.
Now, before I talk about Fortuna, I wouldn't mind talking about Canaccord's capital markets team, because they've been doing a great job. Both research and capital markets are bringing a lot of ideas to gold and silver ideas to market, to us, and they're doing a stellar job. This is one that actually I was chatting with the analyst, and he pointed out they're starting up a gold mine in Argentina, which I happen to like. Cost production is going to be around $700, and as soon as that kicks in, it's going to transform this company. This is one that I've held within my silver companies. I've had Fortuna, I've had First Majestic. This is the laggard, right? And it's the one that I've been selling the other ones. This one's the one that I've been buying more and more.
Okay.
But I do think that coming into this year, this thing will start moving, because this is going to be a very, very profitable mine. Plus, I'm getting silver and gold. I like the exposure, and it's in Latin America, which I think Argentina, as much as Argentina has always this noise, it's one place where the mining jurisdictions are controlled by the estates, and this one is in a good state, so I'm very comfortable.
I'm surprised we didn't get a lot of calls, or any calls rather, on silver tonight. That's usually, it's right behind gold as far as the calls that you do get on Market Call tonight. Silver, the poor man's gold, it seems to be a way more attractive entry point for a lot of folks who are wanting to dip their toe in, right?
Correct. I prefer silver to gold. I think silver will have a much greater upside. I'm always amazed by the fact that silver has not kept up with inflation for 40 years. Still sitting here at $17. Copper, everything has moved up. I think at some point that corrects, and we're going to have a beautiful upside in silver.
Well, you know what? A lot of folks are hoping for a beautiful upside in oil for the Canadian oil patch. You talked a little bit about Vermilion, but to your point, Vermilion not really an Alberta play, but Gibson Energy is. Yeah,
Gibson Energy, I like this company because I've owned it in the past. I'm coming back into it. The dividend is sustainable. We have it with a, give me one second. We've just raised our target actually from $28 to $30. And it's more of an infrastructure project. So it's storage, it's distribution. So it's more playing the auxiliary side of energy, which is needed. So look at Alta Gas, for example, same thing. So these guys, I think it's a great entry point. I'm starting to like the oils. I'm starting to like the oil patch, but I'm not ready to buy oil companies in Canada. But the sidelines and companies outside of Canada, I think, make sense.
It's been a long time coming, right? So the very fact that you and a number of your colleagues are now coming on the program and saying, look, we're maybe not buying all this stuff full-fledged, but we're starting to dip our toe in the water. That's got to offer some reassurance to our friends in Alberta and consequently the rest of Canada.
Right. Keep in mind that I'm putting these within the equity income because I want the cash flow.
Right.
And I do think that right now we have some good entry points from capital depreciation, which already happened. So I can get, I don't know how long we're going to be in the tunnel, but at least now I'm getting paid to wait. So that's how I'm looking at these as a replacement to cash flow.
All right. Another great show under our belt. Always a pleasure to chat with you, Jaime Carrasco. We're going to keep us posted on the whole gold situation. Let's see if it can break past 1,600. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Folks, thank you for watching. On behalf of Aaron Sebeski, our senior producer, have a wonderful evening. Stay warm, and we will see you tomorrow.